This is video 4 and it will be the last animation video. So now that we have our can rolling, in and out in this animation, the last item we want to animate will be camera, which is very important. If you imagine movies, people are always running around with cameras. So we will do that today. We will make sure that our camera is animated. So to start that, I want to change the view. I want in this viewport to look from top. So I'll click on Z and I will have to zoom out a little bit and pan in somewhere here. So I see my camera, I see light, and I see the cam. The first thing I want to do is to go to the layer panel and hide the background. So on the right side on this eye, I will click on this eye and it's gone. I want to create a path. To create a path, I have to click Shift A to add a new object. So instead of adding objects as we did all the time, this time I will add curve. So it's the second one. Add curve. And from this menu, I could choose Bezier or circle, but this time I will choose path. With path selected, I can see that the path was added in this grid. And if I click S to scale it, I want to make it a little bigger, somewhere like this. And I want to change the way it looks. Right now it is a straight path. So the shape of this path will show how the camera is moving. And I don't want to have it straight line. So with this path selected, I will go to layer panel and I will rename it. I will click twice, erase what's written. I'll say camera path. Click enter and now we have renamed it. So with the camera path selected, I will click tab button on the keyboard to get into edit mode. Now I see that the color changed, and on the left upper side I can see it is edit mode. Next to that, I can see that this path that we selected, it has 5 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots, and now I can select each of the dot, press G and move it. So if I move it like this, I can see that the orange line decides how the angle of the shape is made, but the black line is actually our path. So now I'll select second one, I'll move it somewhere here. I'll select the third one, move it somewhere here, and the last one, move somewhere here. So let's say I created this path. It's very important to look from the top. If I select, for example, this point, when I'm not looking straight from the point but from angle, and click G, and let's say I'll just move it a little bit here. When I look from the side, I can see that this is off. Everything else is straight, but this part is a little bit off. So I'll click Command Z to undo it. And if I want to do changes, I have to make sure I'm looking all the time from top. So I'll click G again and move something like this, and this one, and move somewhere here. So let's say this is the path I want to have. So now that I designed the path, I can leave the edit mode. I'll click tab to exit it, and you can see now that from straight line we have this nice rounded path. The next thing is to add a box. So this box will act as a camera rig. So we want to do exactly the same. We want to add this box and put the camera inside. So first, let's click Shift A. Instead of adding cube here in the mesh, we will go to empty. So we'll go to empty and select cube. What it does, it creates an empty cube that doesn't have any faces. So this is needed to have it when you are preparing scene, when you're making it. And in the end, on the camera view, this is something that is invisible. We want this invisible box. So now with this box selected, we can see that in the layer panel, it has the name of empty. So let's rename it. Let's click twice here, and instead of empty, I'll say camera rig. Click enter. And now we have camera path and camera rig. So with the camera rig selected, I want to add some constraints to it. So with this selected, I will go to the right side to the properties panel and click on the third icon from the bottom. and this is object constraint properties. So when I click here, I can see there is nothing, so I have to add object constraint. When I open, the first one I want to add will be follow path. So I'll click on follow path, and I can see it has some options here. Right now what I want to select is just to select a target. So in this field I'll click once, and I have only one camera path, the one we just created. If I select it, I can see that now I'll make this smaller and move this a little bit out. I can see that the camera rig changed its location from the center. It moved somewhere outside, so it to be attached exactly on it. So we'll go to transform panel. If you have it closed, you can click N on your keyboard to open it, and we'll change location, and we'll write 0 here, 0 here, and 0 everywhere in all the locations on all the axes. When we do that, we can see, if we look from top, that this cube is exactly on this path, and this is perfect. So now that this camera rig is connected to our path, we can go to the right side, and in the object constraint properties panel, we can see there is this offset. So right now it's 0, but if we click and drag on it to left, we can see that our cube now follows the path that we created, and for some reason it goes between -100 and 0. This is how it moves. So this is 0 and this is -100, and this is what we need. So if you have this working, that means everything is fine. I'll change this to 0 again, so it is in the beginning of the path. And the next thing what we want to do to put our camera inside. So we'll click on camera. You can click camera on inside 3D viewport, or go to layer panel and select camera. Make sure that the camera is orange. That means it's selected. With camera selected, we have to go to the right side again to the object constraint area and add object constraint to camera. So here we want to add a relationship, and from relationship panel we're going to select child of. With child of selected, we have to select the target. In the target field, if we select, we can see all our objects here, so anything can be our target. And we want to select camera rig. If we click on camera rig, we can see now that there is some blue line that is attached between camera and this cube, the camera rig that we created. If I select camera rig and go to offset, if I move it, I can see that the camera actually moves together. I'll click enter 0 values and offset again, and now click on camera. Now make sure you can select camera, and we have this blue line because it has offset from its parent, and this is what you want sometimes, but not in this case. So to change that, I have to go to the transform panel in the right side, and again in location properties I have to enter 0 everywhere. I have to enter 0 in X, Y, and Z fields. So now I can see that the camera was attached to the middle point of our cube. If I click space and play our animation, we can see our can rolls, but that's it. Our camera rig stays in one position, but we wanted to move on this path that we created. So let's select this camera rig, and now let's animate it. Let's move blue playhead on frame number 1. This is where we start our animation. And with the camera rig selected, we can go to the right side where we have offset at 0. This time I want to start actually at the other side, so I can move to the -100. So -100 is, I will write -100, click enter. I want to start animation when the camera is from this point of view. So with this selected, I have to add keyframe. To add keyframe, I can just go to the right side, move on the offset properties, and when mouse is on top, I can click I button on the keyboard. With this selected, I can see that it became yellow and in the dope sheet I can see that new keyframes were added to frame 1. The second thing is to move our blue playhead from frame 1 to frame 96 to the end of animation, and now move the offset of our camera rig and move offset from -100 to 0. So click 0 and click enter. Now I can see that it's orange. It means that I changed the offset of it, but the keyframe is not added. So I'll just move my mouse on the offset and click I to add keyframe. Now it's yellow, and I see in the dope sheet I can see that I have keyframes on frame 1 and keyframes on 96. So if I click space, I can see that the can moves and the rig with the camera moves. The only thing that is left to do is make sure that the camera captures our can. So I'll click space and I will select camera. With camera selected, you can select camera in the 3D viewport or select camera in layers panel. I will select camera here, and I want to add another object constraint to it. So here I will select add object constraint and add tracking. And the last one is track 2. I will select track 2 option, and here I can see that the track 2 doesn't have any object to track. So I have to go to target field and select to what is the object I want to track. So here I want to select can. If I select can, we can see that our camera changed its position, but if I move like this, I can see that the camera is pointing to the bottom. First thing I have to do is to go to rotation and transform panel and reset the values to 0. So 0x, 0y, 0z. And the next thing, I will go to the track 2 panel on the right side and see which one angle is good. So I'll just go through all of them. And I think it should be -z, but then up direction of the camera, let's say x. Okay, we are getting something. Let's see how it looks like. Let's zoom in. Okay, so now I can see that the camera is pointing to the can, but it points vertically. So let's click up instead of x to y, and now change the angle. Okay, so let's see how it works. I will zoom out here, and I can see that the camera now tracks our can really nicely. That's good. That's what we want to do. I will click Command S to save it. Look from the top, see how the animation is going, and it starts well, but then at some point here it collides with the can. So I will click on camera path and click S and scale it to make it bigger. Let's see. Let's click space, see how it looks now. So it starts from side and it goes like that. I will click Command S. Now I want to add background. So I will go to layer panel, unhide the background, and see how it looks here. So I can see that the background could be bigger, but it's fine for now. But also the camera view is not exactly what I want. I will look from side, and the camera path is exactly on the floor. Usually we don't have cameras rolling on the floor, so I'll click G, move it somewhere here, and also I want to pan it a bit here, and also I want to add some rotation here around y-axis just to have some angle. Click Command S, and if I click space, I can see now that the can is being filmed from all angles, and nicely that the camera works really nicely. I will go to background, select background, click S, and make it really big. Leave it here, click Command S, and see how it looks like right now. I will click on render view in the camera view so I can see with colors. Click Command S, and this will be the end of this video. I will just go to click render and click render animation.